Hello people, and welcome to Crypto Exposed. Expert explains why an XRP price of $1,000 is not a fantasy. Here we go again. Okay guys, let's get into it. Okay, so the quote-unquote expert in question here is Crypto Tank, and I've been seeing him coming up in my feed quite a lot lately. I saw one original post that he'd done about XRP, and it really blew up. And I think what's basically happened is he's basically made, a post that's gone viral, got a lot of engagement, etc. And I think he's now making more continuous posts because it's obviously getting him notoriety, right? It's getting him a bit of a following. And so when I saw his very first post about XRP, I actually bookmarked it and I was going to do a video on it because I had a few things to say about the post in question. And then I happened to see a video by Lambo, and Lambo broke it down so great, and he covered it off, and he did it so well that I just thought, okay, I'm not going to bother touching on this now, because a lot of the points that I was going to say were points that Lambo had made. I had a few things extra that I had to say, but the majority of it was going to be a lot of stuff that Lambo had already covered. So I thought, okay, I'm going to leave it. But I've seen a new post now, and that's this one that's being mentioned here in this article, $1,000. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to cover it at this point. So look, the first thing I'm going to say about this, before we even get started, I'm starting to take a bit of an issue with crypto media just calling people experts. I feel like they're really just putting these like influencers on a pedestal, and it's to me it's a bit much, if you ask me personally. Now let me just say this as well, like, I'm not an expert, right? But this guy isn't either. He's just an influencer. That's all he is. He's like all of us guys who create content, we're not experts. We're just people who do our research, and we're putting our opinions online. Like, don't get me wrong, some of us have more factual information than others, but to call us, any of us, an expert, I don't think we really deserve that title, to be completely honest with you. The experts are going to be like, David Schwartz, Ripple, the people who are dealing with it daily, and like the developers and those kind of people. But yeah, like, to me, I think this was a bit of an extreme thing to call him an expert. He's not an expert in my opinion. As I say, neither am I, but I think, they need to start being a bit more reserved in how they call people experts, because I've seen this being thrown about quite loosely in crypto media. I think, like, especially when I look at this post, because I completely disagree with the post. So I'm a bit like, this isn't even to me an expert, because the information that he's pointing out is not even accurate. So yeah, anyway, I'll get off of that rant. But if you want to see the video that Lambo covered of the original post by Crypto Tank, it's called XRP, This Will Increase the Price. Something along those lines. Is very similar to that. And then in the thumbnail, it talks about a XRP utility bull run. It says that in the thumbnail as well. So just look for that. It's very recent, so you'll find it. And Lambo broke it down really great. So look, I'm not going to go into the full post because it's quite long-winded, and there's two posts that I'm going to cover. But I'm just going to like break down some of my points in regards to this as to why I take a bit of an issue about people making these kinds of posts about price and stuff. So, okay, Crypto Tank's talking about XRP hitting $1,000, okay? And the very first thing I'll say about this, and this is why I always take issue with these, influencers who talk about XRP going to these prices. And I've done this with a few people who I've covered before. I covered Shannon Thorpe, who said XRP was going to go to $500. I covered Will Fix, who said about XRP going to $10,000. There's a couple other people as well, but the one thing that I'll say, the constant thing that I see with these people when they're doing these theories about the price, they're always guessing. They're always making assumptions, and they're always guessing. And that to me is where this whole thing just goes straight down the drain from the get-go, because if you're guessing things, well, who's to say how accurate your guess is, right? Your guess could be potentially accurate, or it could be way off. So if you do a guess and it's way off, well, straight away, any theory you've made about price is inaccurate anyway. So to me, when you're doing guessing, it's straight away, like, I'm getting to a thing of like, well, how accurate do you expect this to be then? Like, why am I going to give this any kind of substance or any kind of credibility if you're just guessing half your way through this, right? And so what Crypto Tank has done in this is like, he's talking about, the kind of money that banks move and what Swift move. And he's talking about, well, if XRP is to capture, for example, 10% of Swift's daily volume, which, isn't a guarantee. So straight away, you're talking about something like that could or could not happen. It might happen, it might not. What if it doesn't capture 10%? What if it captures 1%? What if it captures 0.2%? You don't know. And the other thing is, he's talking about like the XRP that's like left on exchanges and in the circulating supply. So he's saying, Ripple have got this much XRP left in the escrow. There's probably about this much about left around, with retail. And he's like, probably. And it's like, well, probably. It's not very accurate, right? And then he's saying, well, exchanges have only got 1 billion XRP left. And I'm like, where did you get that from? Because exchanges aren't giving those kind of stats out. They're not putting out like posts on X and saying, hey guys, we've only got 200,000 XRP left. And then another exchange is like, hey guys, just to let you know, we've only got 100,000 XRP left. They're not doing that. So where are you even getting that kind of information from? Where are you even pulling that from? So, straight away, when you're doing these kind of guessing games, I'm just a bit like, well, where are you even pulling this information from? And this is what I'm saying. It's like, it's a lot of like assumptions and guesses with no actual factual data. And so this is where straight away I take a bit of an issue with this kind of stuff, because, you're talking about getting to these kind of price points, but you've not even got anything other than assumptions to say why it's going to happen. So to me, this goes straight down the toilet from the get-go, to be honest with you. But anyway, let's just continue on. And so, as I said, I'm going to cover 2 posts here. So I'm kind of jumping from post to post, but it's because I don't want to cover the whole post in of itself. I'm just like poking holes in some of the things that he's saying just to show you the level of credibility that I'll give this guy. So I'm going to go to the original post that he done now. And this was when he was talking about, again about price, but it wasn't about it reaching $1,000 specifically, right? And like, for example, he's put here, to understand the price of XRP, you first need to understand how utility is calculated. Market cap and utility are not the same. Utility assets price, in brackets XRP, is determined by volume on the ledger divided by circulating supply. High volume is needed by banks to transact. Okay, so he's saying that this is how price is calculated. He's saying it's basically by value / volume on the ledger divided by circulating supply. Says who? Says who? Like, where did you even get that from? Like, who's ever even said that? Has David Schwartz said that? I've never heard that before. Has anyone from Ripple said that? Never heard that before. And to me, like, it doesn't even make sense, because how do you determine what the value is of a utility? Right? Like, how do you determine its value? Because if you're going just by what its current price is, well then, is that what its value is? So it doesn't even make sense how he's making his calculations. Blockchain Backer said it best before. I saw it in a video and he's saying that, some people come up with like moon boy math when they're talking about XRP. And this is what it is. It's moon boy math. It's like they just make up these wild calculations as to how XRP is going to get to these like crazy prices. But it's just completely like made up stuff. Like the calculations, I'm just like, well, where did you even get that from? It doesn't even really make sense. And so this is the thing, right? At the end of the post, this is the first post he did, right? I just want to quickly show you what he said. And this is where, again, I'll start to take a bit of an issue with this kind of stuff. He's said everything that he said. And he's saying at the end that retail doesn't matter about XRP with the price. Because, again, the institutional stuff, we already know the story, right? He says anyone saying otherwise is wrong and not educated in this. And this is the kind of stuff that I really don't like with these types of influencers, because what they do is they try to make you feel like an idiot just for not believing what they believe. But they're completely wrong themselves. like this post, like some of the things that he's saying in here, like it is so like just wildly off and so assumptive that I'm just like, how are you going to say all this stuff and then just say anyone who doesn't believe this is not educated? And this is where people fall for this kind of thing, because what they do is they make themselves sound so confident in what they believe, right? Like they make it sound so like obvious, like, oh, if you don't understand all of this, you just don't get it. You're just not educated in this, like, and so it makes you feel like, oh, well, he's got to be right. Yeah. Like, the way he's saying it is so obvious. No, not at all. He's completely wrong. And then just making out like he's this genius who, if you don't believe it, then you're the one who just needs to get educated. Like, with all due respect, if anyone needs to get educated, it's this guy, because some of the stuff that he's throwing out here is completely baseless. And so this is the thing with these influencers, the way they package this stuff, it sounds great because they articulate it well. That's the thing. The way they present it, it sounds good. It sounds really good in the way they present it. And if you're someone who doesn't do research and you just kind of read a post or whatever, you're not going to necessarily think, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, because the way it's packaged and the way, the way it's presented, it sounds like he does. But if you do a bit of research and you question certain things, you start to easily poke holes in this kind of stuff. And you start to say like, oh, okay, well, that can't be right. Or where did you get that information from? That doesn't sound right. Like, who's giving you these kind of numbers and blah, blah, blah. And that's when you start to see that, the whole thing of this, it just starts to fall apart. It really does. And so, like for me, these two posts that I've seen, I've had a look at his timeline in general, and I'll be honest with you, it's all the hype stuff, it's all the typical hype stuff. And, to me, I'll be honest with you, he doesn't provide a lot of substance, like he writes these long posts, but a lot of it is just high speculation with no actual like data or facts to present anything to give any kind of, substance to what he's saying. And as I say, a lot of the stuff that he says, you can really easily poke holes in it, to be honest with you. And so, with that being said, the last, I'm sorry that I'm jumping back and forth. I know it might be a bit confusing, but going back to the post that we've recently had here about the 1K XRP, there was a guy who kind of questioned, what he was saying about this, about the post. And, he said, okay, prove me wrong. And so the guy started to put an argument forward, but I'll be honest with you, it really wasn't the strongest of arguments. So he was kind of having a back and forth with the guy. But then we had a post here from a guy called Ellis. I think it's Ellis. I apologize if I'm butchering the name, but I've got this post here. And again, I'm not going to go through it all because it's very long, but he broke it down absolutely beautifully. He broke it down completely great. And, again, a lot of the things that I would say are the things that are in this post. And he didn't respond. And this is the thing that I find with a lot of these influencers is they put out these posts, and once you actually come with a substance of an argument, like you actually really bring a solid argument to them, they can't reply. They just go quiet because they can't argue back against it. Because the truth is a lot of this stuff is hollow. That there's nothing to it. And so I get it in my comment section when I debunk some of these theories. They'll say certain things to me, and then once I say, okay, let's have the debate, I'll bring out my arguments, they just go quiet. Happens all the time. And so, to me, all I'm going to say is what I usually say to you guys is be careful who you get your content from, because, a lot of these guys, they come out and they speak very confident, and they put themselves across like they know what they're talking about. But that they either don't know what they're talking about, or they're just knowingly lying to you to get the engagement. It's one or the other. And to me, as I've said before, neither one of them are good, right? Neither one of them are good. So, I'll just be honest with you. For me, with Crypto Tank, he's not someone who I'm personally going to follow or anything like that. I've not seen anything yet to make me think that he, is someone worth getting information from personally. That's just my opinion. And so, yeah, just be careful, because, as I say, the people who just believe things that are wrong, and they'll put it out there with so much confidence. But as I say, once people come with the facts, that they just go quiet because, they can't argue against it. Or they're just thinking, hey, this is making money. I'm getting a following. I'm getting big from this. So I'm going to keep pushing it. I don't care. Whatever, it's going to help me make money or whatever. So I'm going to do it. So, yeah, as always, guys, just be careful who you get your content from, because not everybody wants to put truth out there. Some people either just believe wrong things, or they just want to make money, whatever. So, yeah, I'll leave it there. But, yeah, overall, in regards to this, If people want to put forward an argument for $1,000, put it forward, but this was weak. This was weak, and it had a lot of holes in it. And once you start to poke holes in it, it just became very obvious that there was really nothing to this post, to be honest with you. So it falls short. I'll leave it there. Thank you very much for watching this. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that bell. Take care.